Kyle.
My first job when I got out of high school.
Call this meeting to order, please. I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight for our City Council meeting. At this time, if anybody has any citizen comments of anything that's not on the agenda tonight, it's a time to present those if you'd like. Seeing none, I guess we'll move right on. I'd like to welcome everybody, and we'll have a consideration of approval of the agenda for tonight.
So move, Your Honor.
Second.
The clerk will call the roll.
Starr.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is consideration of approval of the minutes for the March 19th meeting.
Yes, you're late.
I'd so move.
And I would second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes. Clerk will call the roll.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Motion approved. Next is the consideration of approval of the consent calendar. We have a motion for the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the consent calendar of anything? Not, the clerk will call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is the business of the mayor, and I do have a few business items tonight. First of all, we have a couple proclamations that we're going to do tonight. One for Child Abuse Prevention Month and one for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Jenny, you want to go first and tell us your name and who you're representing, and tell us a little bit about your proclamation?
I'm Jenny Miller. I work for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Northeast Iowa, and I'm here representing the Floyd County Child Abuse Prevention Council. April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and so some of the things the council is doing includes having the blue people around town. They're just paper cutouts that are placed around town, including Central Park and some of the businesses around town. And then we have little flower gardens, which are like the paper spinners, placed at the library and hopefully at the movie theater, as well as something on the marquee for the theater.
Any questions for Jenny?
So moved.
We can maybe do them both at the same time, or we can do them separately.
Do them
Okay.
together.
Thanks, Jenny. We'll read that in just a second. Erin, do you want to tell us about your proclamation?
So my name is Erin Myers. I'm the Sexual Assault Program Supervisor for Crisis Intervention Service. We've covered Floyd County since 1978. Floyd County has a very active and wonderful sexual assault response team. That's our county attorney, law enforcement, medical facilities, and advocacy centers, so crisis intervention. We meet monthly. We have protocols to make sure that any survivor of sexual assault is heard with compassion, professionalism, and that their needs are fully being met. We like to bring lots of training to Floyd County because we are so active, and last week we just did scenario training with all the law enforcement in Floyd County. They walked through what it's like to interview a survivor, to interview a defendant, what a crime scene might look like. We did witnesses that they might have to interview, and then the officers also engaged in practicing in a courtroom setting. And so they did that all around a sex assault scenario, and it was fantastic. We should really be proud of our law enforcement because a lot of them nailed it right out of the gate, and that's hard to do. And so we're very proud of our Floyd County law enforcement. We will be doing a 5K sometime in June to raise awareness of sexual assault. And that is all for Floyd County right now.
Good. Any questions for Erin?
Second Jerry's motion.
A little late, Delaney.
Any further questions or comments? Not, the clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye. Thank you both.
Approval of the 2 proclamations, and I guess this is my first time of doing a proclamation. I guess I get to go down in front now and present the proclamations.
Don't fall down on
The
it.
trick is not stumbling
Don't fall on
downstairs.
my way.
Stay upright.
Be nimble. At least you're not carrying a computer this time.
That's all right.
All right, so this is for Child Prevention Month 2018, and whereas child abuse and neglect is a serious problem affecting every segment of our community and requires action from everyone in our community to prevent it, and whereas our children are our most valuable resource and will shape the future of Floyd County, and whereas child abuse and neglect directly harms children and increases the likelihood of long-term physical and mental health problems, alcohol and substance abuse, continued family violence, and criminal behavior. And whereas child abuse and neglect occurs when people find themselves in stressful situations and don't know how to cope, and whereas the majority of child abuse cases stem from situations and conditions that are preventable in an engaged and caring community, and whereas every child can have a great childhood by making sure each family has the support and education they need in raising their children in safe, nurturing environments, and whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among social service agencies, schools, faith communities, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community, and whereas community members must make every effort to promote programs and activities that benefit children and their families. Therefore, I do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Charles City and call upon all of our citizens to increase their participation in building caring connections with families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the community in which we live. And that's signed by myself, Dean Andrews, Mayor. And so this is an important proclamation. I say we all realize that children are some of our most vulnerable people in our community and are some of the most important people in our community, and anything that we can do to give them a safe and positive childhood is a plus. So we thank you for all that you do to help keep our children safe. Thank you. Give you the official one. Please. There you go. Thank you. Get the right proclamation here.
Be nice.
Okay, and the proclamation states that whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and impacts every person in this community, and whereas rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment impact our community, as seen by statistics indicating that 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men will be raped at some point in their lives, and whereas child sexual abuse prevention must be a priority to confront the reality that 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls will experience a sexual assault before age 18. And whereas on campus, 1 in 5 women and 1 in 16 men are sexually assaulted during their time in college. And whereas when we actively get involved, we can prevent sexual violence. The first step is increasing education, awareness, and community involvement. It's time for all of us to take action to create a safer environment for all. Therefore, I, Dean Andrews, Mayor of Charles City, do hereby proclaim April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Charles City, Iowa, dated this 2nd day of April 2018. And this is an issue that certainly has received a lot of publicity nationwide, in the last several months. And so anything that we can do to help support this prevention and education and, things you mentioned in your talk previously are all things that we're doing here to kind of help to alleviate this problem as much as we can. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, ladies.
Did good, sir.
Mhm.
I said you did good.
Good job, yes.
You're quicker, too, than the other mayor.
Well, I do have one more mayoral thing to do, but this is an easy one. I have one appointment to the Airport North Cedar Aviation Authority Board. I have to make that official title. Kip Hauser has been on the board for a while and was very excited to continue. They've been doing a lot of work out at the airport, and he wants to be a part of that going forward. So I would appoint Kip Hauser to the North Cedar Aviation Authority Board with your approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
I'm sure Kip will continue in his service to the airport. So, next up is a public hearing on the 2018 Hildreth Street reconstruction project. We'll open the hearing. You have a filing of affidavit of publication.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any written comments or objections?
None, Your Honor.
Any oral comments or objections from anyone?
Move to close the hearing. Second.
Motion second to close the hearing. The clerk will call the roll.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Hearing is closed. We'll then consider Resolution 4718, which is approving the final plans. And John, do you have some discussion on that for us?
Yes, the council approved the preliminary plans and specifications and authorized taking bids at the March 5th meeting. The Hildreth Street project, this will be a complete reconstruction of the street starting at 9th Street and extending to Gilbert Street. The pavement will be removed and new water mains and storm sewer system will be replaced and portions of the sanitary sewer will also be replaced. The project does have a completion date this year of October 26th, so it will be taking place this summer. During the bidding process, we did have one addendum. The addendum addressed, it revised some quantities on some bid items, made a minor revision on the typical cross-section detail, as well as we revised a jointing plan layout for the PCC pavement option. These were minor changes and it didn't change the scope of the project, so the preliminary plans that you previously approved match the final plans. So I would recommend Resolution 47-18, approving the final plans and specifications for the Hildreth Street project.
Any questions for John?
As long as there were no major changes, I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Clerk will call the roll.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is consider Resolution 4818, which is awarding the contract for such project.
Well, we did have a bid opening last Wednesday, and we received 4 bids for the project. The low bid was submitted by Kroll out of New Hampton. They were at $1,288,280. Heartland Asphalt out of Mason City submitted a bid for $1,322,400. Wicks Construction out of Decorah, they submitted a bid of almost $1,353,000. And McKinnis Excavating out of Mason City, they submitted the 4th bid at a little over $1,563,000. Now the engineer's opinion of probable cost for the project was $1,585,000. The project was designed with both a concrete alternate as well as an asphalt alternate that allowed us to increase the number of bidders in the bidding pool. And the low bid submitted is a concrete paving option. If you're not familiar with Kroll, Kroll is our local paving contractor now. They have been out of New Hampton for quite a while, but recently they did some trading between Manats and Kroll. They traded some paving operations, and Kroll acquired the Allied Manats Group here in Charles City. In fact, the project manager for Kroll is somebody we've already worked with on past projects who was with Allied. So I would recommend Resolution 4818 awarding the bid to Kroll.
John, is the, our estimate was $1,585,000. Is that about what we had budgeted for this?
Yeah.
That's exactly what we had budgeted for it.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
And the funding source for this will be,
Vast majority of it will be a local option sales tax.
okay.
But anything water, sewer, storm sewer will come out of those funds.
The low bid then actually is 18.7% under our estimate, which is good.
Yeah, it's nearly 300,000. Yeah.
Mhm. Good. You need a motion?
So move.
Did you want to second that? Oh, okay.
One of those a second, or,
I got a second.
okay.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on this project? Not, I'll have clerk call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Motion approved. And when was the, I may have missed it, John, when was the starting date for that?
Well, I will send out contract and bond forms, and then at the next council meeting, the contract and bond will be on the agenda for approval. Then we'll hold a pre-construction meeting, and I'm sure they'll be getting started probably in May.
Okay.
Do we have a good publicity campaign for the people in the neighborhood up there?
Well, I've sent out letters, yeah, and I've gotten some comments back, and now that we have a contractor, we'll be able to get more information out to the property owners.
Yeah, sounds good.
Good, thank you. Next is consider the third and final reading of ordinance 1115, amending the zoning classification of 2 parcels. Have discussion?
Yeah, if you recall, this is the rezoning of the property on Gilbert Street from basically the Titus storage buildings all the way out to 195th Street, including the New Life Community Church. It's currently zoned R1, and it's going to be rezoned to B3 service business zoning, and this will match the rest of the property from the Floyd County Courthouse out to the Titus storage building, so all that will be zoned B3. We've actually had 2 separate public hearings on this, one at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting and one at the City Council meeting, and I've not received any more responses on this. So I'd recommend that the council approve the 3rd reading and authorize the clerk to publish the approved ordinance.
Just wanted, has anybody on the council heard anything? Or
Nope,
asked
not a
any
word.
question?
No, I have not.
Myself either. So.
Dan, you've had someone in the past contact you. Were they satisfied with the discussions after the last meeting?
I'm not so sure that they are, but
Okay.
I talked to the engineer, and I think we've got everything. Things will work out.
Their concerns were met by what we discussed in the last meeting.
In my opinion.
Yes.
Maybe not in their opinion, but in mine.
That was probably the most direct comment we've had was from your person. So.
I would so move, Your Honor.
Second.
Had a motion and a second for the 3rd reading. Clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
We'll have the 3rd reading of ordinance 1115.
An ordinance amending the zoning classification of 2 parcels located in the southeast quarter of Section 2, Township 95 North, Range 16 West of the 5th PM in Floyd County, Iowa, from R1 Single Family District to B3 Service Business District.
Thank you. Now we need a
Motion to adopt and approve?
Motion to adopt and approve, there you go.
I would so
And
move.
publish, adopt and publish.
It's a second.
Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Malero.
Aye.
Star.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
So we'll get that ordinance published and make that zone as we see best fit, I guess. So. Next is consideration of the third and final reading of ordinance 1116, which is amending section 23, advertising and signs. Discussion on that one.
Yes, this is the amendment to section 23, and it's in regards to fascia signs. Currently, fascia signs can only be placed on buildings if they're directly abutting a city street, a street right-of-way. And we've had requests for from property owners or business owners that who do have good lines of sight from other streets, but they don't actually abut a street to place these signs. And currently, we can't permit those signs because it's not allowable in the ordinance, and this will change that. We've had 2 readings previously for this ordinance amendment, and I would recommend the third and final reading and authorizing the clerk to publish the ordinance.
Any further discussion on this ordinance?
This
Is there a history of why that was ever set that way?
Nope, that's just the way our current code, zoning code is written.
This is one of those that it's nice when it works out, when the public comes to us and says, hey, we want to do this, but your code says we can't. Can we work with that to get it fixed as long as it works out? We took a look at it and worked it out for them, so it'll help to better advertise at least 4 businesses that I'm aware of for sure, if not more. So this is nice when we can help out sometimes when sometimes the codes don't quite always make sense. So I would so move.
Second.
Had a motion for the third reading of ordinance 1116. Any further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Star.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
And we'll have the third reading of ordinance 1116.
All right, it's minimized, but let me pull it back up here really quick. All right. Ordinance number 1116, an ordinance amending section 23, advertising and signs of the Charles City zoning ordinance by amending subsection F.11a and F.12a to permit the placement of exterior fascia signs which are visible from street frontages of principal buildings in B1 and B2 districts.
Thank you, Mike. Now we'll have a motion to adopt ordinance 1116 and publication of the same.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion on that one. Clerk will call the roll.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Star.
Aye.
So we'll have that ordinance adopted now and have it published. I know, like Mike said, there are businesses that are already got their signs ready to put up, so this will be a good thing for that. Next is a consideration of a motion adopting the City of Charles City temporary relocation policy. We have a discussion for that item. Heidi?
I'm Heidi Nielsen, the Housing Director. The next step in the owner-occupied rehab grant that the city is submitting in May is the approval and acceptance of the temporary relocation policy, in addition to the administrative plan. The temporary relocation policy is necessary because a lot of the work that's done in the homes that are in the target area are pre-1978 homes that contain lead-based paint. And when that work is undertaken in those homes, we have to relocate the families in most cases to protect them from the hazards of the lead dust. It is the same relocation policy that we had used for the last grant. And basically, the homeowners have an option of self-relocating, or they can ask the city to participate and assist them in the relocation during the work that's done on their home. I don't know. That's pretty much about it. If you have any questions or anything.
Is there an average of how long they're out of their home?
It depends upon the amount of work. Typically not more than 10 days, and then we need to add some days onto there for the clearance testing to take place.
It's pretty much the same program we've had in place every time we've done one of these other
Yeah, the
areas,
only
isn't it?
change from the last grant that we had was we just increased the amount of, if the homeowners self-relocate, we will give them $200 to, help them with the costs of, whatever it, would be that they would need.
In the past, roughly how many people have taken advantage of the assistance? Do you know?
Of the self-relocation
Yeah.
or the...
Just either or.
Well, I mean, if they're wanting to participate in the grant, they have to relocate unless they're elderly.
Okay.
That change went into place a few years ago. They can request a waiver under certain conditions.
Any further questions for Heidi?
I would so move.
Second.
Motion is second to adopt the relocation policy. Clerk will call the roll.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Motion passes. Next is consideration of Resolution 4918, which is adopting the City of Charles City Housing Rehabilitation Administrative Plan. Heidi?
This is the second part of the information that we have tonight. And the administrative plan is just simply how we're going to administer the program. And it is the same plan that we had used last time. There's one change to it, though. In the past, if the construction would be $30,000, the homeowner was allowed to find gap financing for the, the difference between the maximum $24,999 and the $30,000, and that's no longer allowed. They're only allowed to do the work up to $24,999.
What was the reasoning behind that? Just
You'd
curiosity.
have to talk to someone that's got a lot more pull than I do.
No, I just was curious
Yeah,
why.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a disadvantage to the program.
Right.
Well, I'm trying to think, too, of working with the program as well, is sometimes it maybe slowed down the process, but that was a great part of the program if they could extend beyond. There was people that extended well beyond, up into the $30,000, $40,000 range to get some differences. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, they did change some of the requirements. We used to use through the IEDA, they had set the standards on what the work had to be, and they recently changed it to be in line with the HUD's Housing Quality Control Standards. So I think it has something to do with that.
So essentially, they could still do it after the program was done on their own if they wanted to, but just not as part of this program, which would be a lot more convenient.
Well, if they're already relocated, though.
Yeah, that's true.
You got somebody there working already.
That's the sad part. When people are there, it's like every other project we look at. If you're going to do something, do it while the people are there. Don't make people leave and come back, because it always costs more.
Right.
So.
See
Anyway.
what you can do to change that, huh?
I'll get right on that.
I would so move, Your Honor.
Second.
Motion is second for Resolution 4918. Clerk will call the roll.
Hammond.
Aye.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thanks, Heidi, for all your work.
Congratulations, new grandma, too.
Ah,
Congratulations, Eddie.
There's a nice picture you sent. She's adorable. You're not biased,
you
though,
saw
right?
you saw it though, huh?
I second that motion.
Next is consideration of Resolution 5019, which is amending a lease for an antenna on the water tower. Have discussion on that one.
As we discussed at the planning session, we received a notification from the new leasee, I guess is the correct term, about going to a fixed rate for the annual increase of the water tower lease. Just to refresh your memories, we have this is for a cell phone antenna that's at the top of the water tower, and it's the one on Rove. I think you had asked that the last time, and I can't remember if I told you or not, but it's over there on Rove. And in the past, it had always been an increase of whatever the CPI is. And Delane was very handy last time and kind of pulled up the CPI history over the last 10 years. They had recommended a 2% increase. We had decided that maybe we should go for 4, and so I offered that as a counteroffer 4, and we landed on 3%. She said that their people would not go any higher than 3% fixed rate. So that is the amount that we will write into this amendment. This will go until 2020, at which time we will have to go back and look at the lease and changing it and whatever. But so this will be good through 2020. And Brad has looked at it and thought it looked good, and I don't know if you have anything else to add, Brad, or?
Nope, the only change is to that paragraph regarding the rent payment, so I mean everything else will remain the same until 2020.
Right, right.
In the last 4 years, I mean, it's been, down around 1.5, been kind of steadily creeping up as high as 2.8, but really for the last year and a half been sitting right around 2. So that gives us a little bit of protection for the next couple of years. Anyway, while this pans out, and then we'll revisit it as stated.
Right.
So move for
Second.
2019.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. Any further
Those
questions,
numbers there.
discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Malero.
Aye.
Starr.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Friesman.
Aye.
Hammond.
Aye.
Motion passes. Under other business, do we have any miscellaneous correspondence tonight?
None, Your Honor.
Brad, do you have a attorney's report of anything?
Not tonight, Your Honor.
City clerk's report.
The next planning session will be April 11th at 6 o'clock.
Dan, I got a message you won't be there.
I did
correct.
too. Thank you, Dan. The 11th, yep, it's a Wednesday.
That worked for everybody else, pretty much?
I guess it was on February. Yeah.
It's our standard
Yes.
meeting. So
Yep.
it worked.
I thought, yeah. Steve, city administrator's report.
Yeah, just a couple things. This is the week of April 1st, so we have our new garbage and recycling program kicking off this week. And as you recall, we waited to April to make sure we were out of winter.
Yeah. Whose idea was that, huh?
Here we are. But no, so everybody's started using the bins today. I mean, we have seen a mixed bag of everything around town today. So I guess one thing I just wanted to point out and reaffirm with everybody is that when they put their totes out, they can't just put the bag out. They have to put the wheeled tote out. Half the town starts this week on recycling, the other half next week. So make sure you look at your sheet to see if you are recycling this week or next week. Make sure you're leaving that 4-foot spacing if you can between the containers. If you have the ability to set one on each end of the driveway, that would be preferred. Yeah, all garbage must be inside the container. If you do have excess garbage in addition to your tote, place it beside the container. Stuff we've been talking about for a while. But just as we get into this, there'll be a learning curve, of course, going forward here. And if anybody has any questions or anything, they can go to the city website. We have it posted there. They can call City Hall, and we'll be happy to let people know what the do's and don'ts are. But it's off and running, so we'll get to test it with snow here as well. So.
And you said any additional garbage that's placed beside still has to be in the orange bags, though, correct?
That's correct.
Can't just be in a regular bag.
Yeah, and I saw some orange bags sitting on top of a container. It needs to be set beside the container, not on it or in it. You don't have to use the orange bags unless you have excess garbage in addition to what you've already put in your tote. So segueing from that, just to remind everybody, and I guess announce it here during council meeting, is our spring cleanup dates have been set, April 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th. So that's when we'll be doing spring cleanup this year. Everything's the same as before. The exception is this year we will not be accepting corrugated cardboard, which falls in line with the garbage handling through Gendros now and the landfill. The landfill is no longer accepting corrugated cardboard through the garbage. You can recycle it, and you can put as much cardboard you want beside your recycling bin, but you cannot put that in the garbage, and so therefore you can't use it on spring cleanup day. So if there is corrugated cardboard out there, we will do our best to leave it behind, and just to let everybody know that too. In addition to that, just wanted to follow up real quick on to tell you about the Spyglass group that we've been working with. They're the phone telecommunication audit firm. We've just finished up our audit on our existing phone lines and things that may either be renegotiated or eliminated, and we're going to have about $5,800 in savings each year from what they found and what we were able to renegotiate down, and lines that were no longer used that were still in place, two that connected to the old water tower that no longer exists over by White Farm over there. So the line to the plant, the line back to the tower have been eliminated, but we've been paying a monthly fee on that type of stuff. So we found things like that have been in existence. So we'll have a one-time fee that we'll pay these folks, and then after that the savings are ours in perpetuity. So that was a nice process to do. Very little work on our end, some to help coordinate and verify all those things, but they were able to find quite a few things for us. I think that's about all I had. That's all I have, Mayor.
Very good. Any board or commission or committee reports anybody has tonight?
Couple, Your Honor. The landfill let their contract for just right at $1 million for putting in their third cell, and the equipment's moved in, and like our totes, they're waiting for the weather to clear and the snow to get away so they can get started. So that should be a summer-long project, which would be very interesting. The other item I got, which is also city business, why I was a few seconds late tonight was because as I was going to my car, a couple neighborhood totes were facing the wrong way. I had to relocate them. So please accept my apology.
Did you forget to tell Nancy how they were supposed to be out there, or what?
And that was the other part of it, yeah.
Hopefully you only had one tote out.
No, the neighbor's tote.
Oh, neighbors.
Sure.
And one of them had two out, but I didn't worry about that second one.
All right. I see we'll talk about miscellaneous correspondence. I see we all have a listing of our goals in front of us, as well as being on the posted here. So that's, I think we talked about that when we did the goal setting.
Put it on the door,
it'd be
too.
nice to, yeah, I see that on the door. It'd be nice to keep those goals in front of us because, as we said, that was kind of our focus when we did the budgeting, and we should keep those items in plain sight, and I guess they are now. So.
Yep, you've got an 8.5 by 11. You've got the mini version taped up in front of you, and we got the one on the door up there now.
Very good.
How about the restroom? You got them out there too.
Yes, sir, just like Menards.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh, it's deep in here.
11% off?
All right, with that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. College, don't you? Because they don't like smart asses.
Motion adjourned. Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned.
That's when business gets done.
Work out here, you can always go work for General.
No, that's the last.
Right.
It was the last
handyman
120
can
consumer price indexes.
Yeah.
How do you guys that have those computers in your hands spoil everything. Thanks, Tom.
Numbers are fun. Math is good. Math never lies.
Second time.
But liars figure.
That baby is cute. Heidi's granddaughter, she is adorable.
That's some heavy-duty paper.
Sure. Oh,
I
my
can leave
God.
that out in the rain. No worries.
Baby.
How do you do it?
Well, I tell
Is
you,
this a
it's amazing.
daughter?
Well, what time?